Dave and Debbie. Well, hi everybody. Welcome to the very first in a series of podcasts done by Dave and Debbie, and it's called Dave and Debbie. I'm Dave.
I'm Debbie.
And we're going to do a little dance for you in a minute. Actually, we decided we were going to do this when we got ourselves a couple of cups of coffee and a digital recorder here. Debbie, in case you don't know, is also a writer, and she's written several published novels. She writes romance stories. She's a very romantic person, right?
I like sex.
Do you? I wish I'd known. Yeah, anyway, so I'm going to try and keep her on the straight and narrow. We don't want this to be too X-rated. Well, maybe we do. She promised to be good anyway. Maybe we should start by saying, how did we first get together? Because we've only been married for, 6 or 7 years? I'm supposed to know, right? 7 years, do I guess? Am I in the doghouse now forever?
No, wait, I have to stop and think. 2011.
7 years?
Yeah,
In May.
7 years. Yeah, 7 years.
This May, it was 7 years.
Oh my goodness.
We should go out to Tim's for coffee or something
Yeah.
to celebrate. Do you think we can afford going to Tim's for coffee?
Not unless this makes it big.
Oh, okay. So everybody hear that? You can send Dave and Debbie for coffee at Tim's. All you have to do is become a listener on a
Not
regular
everybody
basis.
knows what Tim's is.
Oh, Tim Hortons coffee for all you folks that aren't living in Canada or the U.S. But I hear they've got them in England now. Debbie has a couple of girlfriends in England that she writes to on a regular basis. Do you want to mention them? Say
No.
hello to them? No? Okay. Well, we just won't bother with that. Let's move along then.
No, this has got to be really good before I mention it to anybody.
Well, we'll try and make it really good. We want to talk to everybody. We don't want to just talk to seniors, because just because we're seniors doesn't mean that we've always been seniors. We were young once too, right?
Yeah.
Do you remember those days? I almost
Yeah.
do.
Actually, I still feel young in my head.
Well, that's good. Good for you. I grew
I
up in
couldn't
the-
write what I do if I didn't.
Well, I grew up in the 60s, so I barely remember growing up.
I loved the 60s.
The 60s were a very special time, I
I
think.
loved them. I absolutely loved the 60s.
Woodstock and Joni Mitchell and Joan Baez and all those people.
Dylan,
James Taylor. Who
the
else?
Beatles,
The Beatles, of course. When did the
course.
Beatles come along?
63. They came over
63.
here in 64.
What was their first TV
God
appearance?
don't. Oh, Ed Sullivan.
Was that Ed Sullivan?
3 weeks in a row. The third night that they were on Ed Sullivan, he said good night, and my dad phoned and said my sister was born.
Phoned and said your sister was
Born.
born. Oh my goodness.
Yeah, didn't I tell you that? Yep.
She loves you. Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Yeah. At least she waited till the show was over. I was a Beatleholic, a Beatlemaniac.
Well, you actually went to see the Beatles, didn't
I
you?
did.
That's amazing.
I did.
Not a lot of people can say that, even though they played to hundreds of thousands of people.
Not only did I go to see them, I went with my cousin, my girlfriend, and my grandmother took us.
Your grandmother, how did she react to the Beatles? That must have been something.
It was amazing. She was cool, but it was amazing, absolutely amazing. She, it was in Toronto, and she was laughing so hard because we were all screaming. We were 13 and 14. We were screaming. And she was laughing so hard that some of the girls around us were going, look at even the old lady's crying. And she was crying from laughter. But that didn't register with everybody. With everybody else.
They certainly made an impact on the music scene. It was never the same after they came along.
Yep, and me.
They reinvented themselves, those guys.
More than once.
First they came on, they were the clean-cut guys in the neighbor suits with the mop-top hairdos, and then they got into to a more psychedelic. I think they really reached their peak with Sergeant Pepper, don't you?
Yeah, I still like their old stuff. But
Yeah,
then that
I do
was
too.
my era.
Yeah, and I guess that was one of their big secrets was they were able to change with the times, and they always appealed, no matter what your taste in music was.
Yep. I remember skipping school. There was 5 of us, 6 of us, I forget. We all skipped school. And I don't know if you can still do it, but back then you can sit from one movie right into the next movie. They don't clear everybody out
We
like they
used
do
to
at a
do
ball
that.
game.
That's right.
Yeah.
I remember that.
And we used to sit, and so we skipped school and figured we better make this a good one. So we went to see Help or Hard Day's Night. I forget.
Obviously,
And
one of the two.
and when it was over, we just sat for the second one and figured we skipped school now. We might as well watch both movies before we go home.
Oh, that was neat. I remember when we used to go to a single feature and we'd get there late, we could sit there and watch it until we got to the spot that we missed, or
Yep.
the
Yep,
saw the beginning that we'd missed by getting there late, and then we did. I say that right?
I knew what you meant. I don't know if anybody listening knew what you meant, but yeah, it was very cool. Same thing when Zorro came out with Antonio Banderas. My girlfriend and I went, and he was so cute up close on that screen that we just sat and watched it a second time.
That was your paramour before Shamar Moore, or before Jamie Dornan.
Yep.
I have to tell you, folks, my wife has Jamie Dornan with no shirt on her computer screen for wallpaper. Can you believe that? People like me, I have pictures of my grandkid
And he,
and my wife. My wife has a picture of Jamie Dornan with no shirt.
honey, if you look like Jamie Dornan, you'd be on my screen with wallpaper too.
If I looked like Jamie Dornan, we wouldn't have to worry about people sending us money to go to Tim Hortons for coffee.
Pretty much.
Of course, Jamie has an added ability. He not only good looks, he can act.
Or he'd just stand there.
Speaking of that, does he have to have his shirt off? Yes.
I'm not picky. They don't all have to have their shirts off.
As long as they know where to park their cowboy boots, right?
Yeah.
So talking about that, what rocketed him into prominence was 50 Shades of Grey, which is kind of up your street as far as writing goes. You write what? Well, it's not even called erotica anymore. It's just called romance.
Yep.
Spicy romance, or just
Yep.
plain romance. And some of your books have mystery and adventure as well.
Yep, they do. When my first book of the trilogy came out, it went under erotica. And Dave's my editor and promoter. We should put that in there.
Okay, I'm her editor and promoter,
There you go.
and a general bookend around the house.
That's right. And when my first book came out, it went under erotica. Legend and the Photographer. And my daughter and my one friend in the States said, put it under romance. And I said, you got to be kidding. And he said, nope, we read a lot of books, and yours is right up there with what we read, and it's romance.
So the times have changed since Harlequin, right?
I guess.
Since Harlequin first came out.
But see, when I read those kind of books, I just assumed they were under erotica because I read them. Mm-hmm. But, oh well.
I was noticing a lot of younger people are reading books that are more, well, let's call it in the 50 Shades of Grey type class, where it's a little more open to different ideas about sex and about
Yep, that Crossfire.
relationships and so on, and BDSM and stuff like that. What prompted you to start writing? Was
A dare.
It was like a bet, was it, or
Yeah,
a dare?
dare, yeah, because I was reading one of my books, not mine, like one of the ones that I read. And I didn't like it. And a friend of mine had read it. And I said, there's very few that I don't like, but I didn't like it. I could do better. And she laughed at me and said, okay, go for it.
And you did.
And I did. Mind you, first try, really, I thought was great. I thought I did a lovely job until we reread it and thought, this is bad. This is very bad. And then you edited it, and then...
Easy for you to say.
And then we edited it again together. I think that first book was the longest because it was new.
And it was examined under a microscope because by the time we got through with it, and then we sent it to the publisher, and the publisher edited it.
Edited it. Yeah.
So different people write different ways. Like I read that Isaac Asimov sits down and types in chapter 1 and just goes from there. You said to me one time that your characters tell you what to write. Is that...
Yeah. I don't think about my books. I do not think about them. I don't
do plot outlines and all that sort of thing.
Or if I'm sitting, or if I'm in bed or whatever, and think, oh, that would be great. I gotta put that in my. I don't do that.
You don't keep a notepad by the bedside?
I keep a notepad, but mainly for words, because I'm old, and I'm not going to remember those words down the road. So I'll write words or little sentences to prompt me on this. I could use this. But no, I don't plot it out. I just type. And once I get, depends on the book. Once I get the first chapter, sometimes I'll need 2 chapters, but pretty much just 1. And I've got my characters down pat, and they're in my head. Like the one that I'm writing now with you, I'm having a hard time keeping the characters in my head. So it takes longer to write.
Mm-hmm. We should mention that we're doing a project together. We've never done that before. We've actually written a book together. Debbie usually writes it. By the way, Debbie writes under the name DT Man. And you can find her all over the internet because she's on Amazon worldwide. And for the folks who have Kobo e-readers, she's on the Kobo library site. And also, it's out in paperback. All her books are out in paperback on the Amazon Kindle site. So they're available. And of course, we invite you to join us every week for Dave and Debbie for coffee and no donuts because we're both on diets. But
all the time.
All the time. I believe they call it the diet yo-yo effect. But we do like our coffee, and we like our company. So join us every week. We'll try to make it as close to this time of day as possible. If not, you can always download us from iTunes and Stitcher and listen to it anytime you want.
I don't think there's really a subject we haven't touched or can't touch.
Right. So anything at all. And if you have any ideas for future shows, we'd love to hear them. We're going to do some interviews and talk to some people we like and people who we like what they do.
But mainly it'll be Dave and Debbie.
That's because it's our show with us.
That's right.
And
we got a lot to talk about.
We certainly do. We've only scratched the surface, and we've been married 7 years already. So.
Yeah, but we were together 7 before that. So, right. Check out my books. Check out my website. Dave did the website, don't forget. Dave did the covers, don't forget.
I really appreciate all those plugs. That's wonderful. Okay, so bye for now, and we'll see you next time.
Bye.